Hi, folks. So, it's now 4 in the morning. So, okay. So, the last video. Okay. The reality is, a lot of people will say, you're obviously left wing by saying you can't trust the police. Previously, they would have said that I'm right wing for saying you can't ban people because, you offended someone. Yeah. No, both of those things are crap. Anyway. Okay. More about the police. So the reality is, yes, a lot of people think of this romantic view of the past that, when they were young, their parents weren't concerned about the police. I'm not too sure that their parents weren't concerned about the police. They didn't tell it to you, but I'm not too sure that they weren't concerned because you wouldn't have programs like the Sweetie if it wasn't the case that the police didn't beat the crap out of people who they felt were guilty in prison cells. Because there have been a lot of people who were beaten up in prison cells by police over the years in order to get the person to say guilty. And so therefore, yeah. And again, it's understanding that point. If you are poor or relatively poor, either way, you will be targeted by the police in the ways that wealthy people will not be targeted by the police. So therefore, yeah. Well, again, a lot of people have said over the years, no, if you've got brown skin, you'll be targeted. No. Anyone who's poor. Like they say, oh, but football players have been pulled over by the police many times because they bought themselves a lovely car when they went to this different club and they got the money. Okay, it's the same thing with people with pinky skin from poor areas. If they were a football player with a lovely car, the police would pull them over as well, thinking that they might have stole the car if they don't recognise the person. Yeah, of course. But the problem is people like the racist point of view, and the racist point of view has never been that true. The point of it is that yes, in areas like Brixton in London, there was a lot of issues with people being pulled over. But again, there was a lot of reasons for that, really. There was a lot of people dealing drugs from their cars. There was a lot of people stealing cars. So therefore, there was a lot of reasons for pulling people over. And the poor people who were brown skinned, they would be heavily involved in those sort of crimes. So therefore, they would have been heavily, seen by the police as maybe they were doing that. So, the racist point of view has never really been true. It's been about poor. Because of course, if you had brown skin, most of the people in poor areas with brown skins were poor. So therefore, it's about being poor rather than your skin colour. But truth doesn't matter, does it really, for most people? But But again, police, yes. It's a very interesting point. Yes, as I say, the police don't beat people up as much anymore. That, generally speaking, isn't what they do. But that doesn't mean they can be trusted. Because they do other things. What they do now is no better than what they did before. They still get innocent people to plead guilty. They just have different tactics. And so therefore, just because the old tactics aren't the same, it doesn't mean the police are better. But again, it really is about that point of people just understanding. You need wisdom. Wisdom is something that people need. And most people at some point in time are going to have an involvement with the police. Whether they're a witness or the police just, knock on doors because they want witnesses for something. or because they're involved in an accident. And you can't trust the police in these things. I had another accident before with the same blinking car, I think. Was it the same car? The Civic. Not sure if it's the same car. Pulled into a road. Another car wanted me to give way so that they could pull in because there's 2 lanes. I did a video about this before. The other car pulled into me, turned into my car, right? Then started having to go at me about it as if it was my bloody fault. I was in front of them. They turned into me. The police said it was 50-50. Excuse me, sod off 50-50. It was never 50-50, but the reason is the police don't care. They don't care. Can they get a conviction? No. So they don't care. When there's an obvious victim, then they can get a conviction. So therefore, they care about that. I said about the Mason Greenwood situation in the past that, a big football player for England and Man United, very young, very good-looking man, has a girlfriend, but has also been known to, meet other women in hotels and stuff like that with England. And so, therefore, his girlfriend posts pictures that looks like she's been beaten up. And so the police charge him. Why? Because there's evidence? No. No. Because they're hoping that by charging him, any other woman that might come in and say that he beat them up as well, or that he tried to rape them, then their job is a damn sight bloody easier, isn't it, really? Because they've got no evidence with the girlfriend. You can't trust the girlfriend at all. You can't. Because, as I say, that there was 2 audios. The police knew. The whole idea that he was threatening to rape her is just complete crap. That would fall away in court. And this whole idea that she put pictures up saying, look what happens when I don't do what he wants. Well, again, sorry. That doesn't mean he beat her up. Trying to prove that in court is very difficult, especially when she says she's not willing to actually, go against him in court. So therefore, they knew they had nothing, but they still charged him because they were hoping that other women would come forward. Because they made the charge public. They always make the charge public, right? Because they want help. They always act as if, oh, we don't know how they got public. Yeah, you do. You made it public. You did that. Because otherwise, how do they keep these situations still happening when charges are public all the time, when they shouldn't be? You're supposed to be innocent until they prove you guilty. That's never been the case. You're always guilty until you prove you're not. In their mind, you're guilty. It always has been that situation until you can prove. And as I said before, the problem is if they say, can you remember what you did 10 days ago at 5 o'clock in the afternoon? Most people will say, no, I can't remember. If they say to you, did you ever meet this person? You say no, but then they say, because they can lie, then they say, oh, someone said you were talking to that person at that time. Because you can't remember what happened at that time, you say, well, maybe. As soon as you say maybe, what you said earlier, that you never meet that person, that's now a lie. Yeah. Because they can say that someone said you actually was talking to that person, they saw you with that person, but they don't have to prove that at all. All they need to do is make you say you're guilty. And then everything they said that was a lie is gone. Doesn't matter. You can't bring it up in the court. It doesn't matter. So there you go. You take care. Speak to you later. Bye-bye.